Right, hello. My name is Russ Townsend. I'm the organizer of the Parapsychology Meetup Melbourne, and as you may have seen, we're organizing a group trip to the Psi Games in happening in Charlottesville, Virginia, over in the United States, later this year at the beginning of August. So, just wanting to give you a quick overview and a little bit of a walkthrough about what it's all about and what the plans are and how it's all looking at this point in time. Obviously, it's important to get into this sooner rather than later, so flight costs will be less and so forth. So have a good think about it so you can plan ahead. There's a little bit to organise, but we've already got a fair bit of energy behind this, and just want to make sure people understand what this is really all about. So I'll just share my screen with you. Screen 2 there, and you should be able to see I've got a little PowerPoint slideshow to show you. So the Psi Games Unleash the Extraordinary. It's taking place at the Omni Hotel in Charlottesville, 1st to the 3rd of August. Plus, I've organised a private tour for our group alone of the Division of Perceptual Studies, which will take place on the 4th of August. More about that in a moment. About the actual Psi Games event, it basically consists of three main aspects. One is the Psi Games, which is competitive games in 5 categories with judges, commentators, and scientific advisors. There are it's basically a very large expo, 29 lecturers and presenters, which includes 4 keynote speakers. We'll get into more about that later, and networking and exhibitors. So I'm going to just walk you through some of those details. So the actual location itself, I've taken some shots off the internet to show you what the Omni Hotel is like. It's a beautiful venue. You can see here, this is the foyer area. We've got some shots from within. It's obviously a very high class, kind of very nice and swish establishment. They have wedding functions there and all kinds of stuff that take place. So a very nice, comfortable environment. You don't necessarily have to accommodate here. We can obviously accommodate anywhere you want to. But just to give you a little bit of a taste as to what that venue is like. I was quite impressed when I had a little bit of a look around and found some of these shots. This is all from the same hotel. Now, about the games themselves, you have these competitions in 5 different categories: dowsing, precognition, psychokinesis, mind sight, and remote viewing. And the idea behind it is they want to be able to show, in a competitive spirit, hopefully it's not going to inhibit people's ability to demonstrate their capabilities, because, competition often brings out ego and so forth. But the idea is that when people can demonstrate these kinds of abilities, it's going to encourage more people to come forward. And the comparison that they've given is, it's just like when everybody thought that the 4-minute mile was impossible. That 4-minute mark was a barrier that no one could cross. When one guy did it, the following year, 11 people did it. So they're hoping to bring more awareness and capability forward through this process and it's obviously very fun, a fun kind of environment. Well, I'll have a look at that in a little bit more detail shortly, because there's some more information that they have on their websites. But these are the 5 areas that they'll be testing. Then we have lots of really interesting speakers and presenters and workshops and so forth, and all these different topics. I'll show you a little bit more about that. Particularly of interest to me is Diane Hennessy-Powell. She has recently been involved with the telepathy tapes, which is it's taking the world by storm in relation to these telepathic powers of autistic non-speakers. And this guy over here, Paul Smith, a remote viewing expert and military Stargate program officer. Very, very interesting to see him there as well. So there's a lot of really interesting luminaries. And of course, there's going to be networking. It is an expo, so there'll be trestle tables and people showing off what they've got available and so on. Now, I'll just switch across to the website. This is the actual Psi Games website itself. You can see here You can get, there's a lot of information, a lot of detail there. You can see all the different speakers and lecturers and workshop people are listed here. There's really it's a lot of opportunity there. There's those 5 categories again. And what I found interesting is actually on this page, because if you go into these sections, on this page, it shows you some of the specific challenges that they'll be giving to people in the games. Like, for example, this one here, in order to have remote viewing, they seal some photographs in envelopes, and then the remote viewer has to sketch what they sense those pictures are, and then it gets revealed to the audience, and you can see how close or how far away they were from those particular images. There's 3 different types of activities in the remote viewing area. Then with this one here, it's mind sight challenges. There's a 3-digit code locked in a safe, and they have to make guesses and try to figure out what that is. Dowsing challenges, they're looking for different elements under each of 5 cups. They need to be able to identify what those elements are: water, gold, silver, copper, or iron, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of really interesting challenges that they set for the participants. Now, this is in order to participate, by the way, you actually have to register, and there's some kind of a screening process. So it's not just everybody piling in. They're specifically looking for people who are verifiably talented in these areas. And there's information here on the side about how they will make sure that these tests are conducted in a way where no hoaxes or cheating can take place and so forth. So that's very interesting as well. With the lectures and workshops, there's a whole list of details here that you can go into, what's going to be covered, to pick the particular ones that you would want to attend. Going down there, so you've got all that information. And here, I found this really fascinating. They've got a whole bunch of resources here about psi abilities. And I just dipped into this one here because I've always been fascinated by the idea of psychokinesis, or the ability to be able to move things with your mind. And they go into this here, and they actually kind of explain in theory how it works. The idea that anyway, I'm not going to try and explain it, but they explain what they believe is the mechanics or the process behind it in order for that to actually be able to take place. So it's a quite interesting little thing there. And this is just more about the Psi Games. So that's a bit of an overview. The other thing I wanted to mention is, as I've touched on previously, in addition to the Psi Games being held at the Omni Hotel, I've organised a tour with the Division of Perceptual Studies on the Monday following. So the Psi Games goes from, or the Expo goes from Friday to Sunday. And then on the Monday, for those who wish to join, we go on a tour of the Division of Perceptual Studies. Now, the Division of Perceptual Studies, or DOPS as it is known, is really the foremost leading research unit in the world when it comes to parapsychology. I've actually interviewed this guy. He's just recently retired, but Jim Tucker, he was the director of the division. I've interviewed Ed Kelly on a number of times, and also Bruce Grayson, who is pretty much the foremost leading expert in the world on near-death experiences. I've also had a nice chat with Marina here, and she's actually leading up a program to verify the claims in the telepathy tapes about autistic children. So yeah, all very interesting people. I'm not sure exactly who we're going to get to meet, but we will get a tour which will include a history of DOPS, an introduction to current researchers and their work, a walkthrough of the library and the neuroimaging lab. I can only imagine what they've got there in the library and neuroimaging lab. And then at the end, having a Q&A discussion, a bit of a hangout with some of the researchers. And I think after 3 days of Psi Games and networking at the Omni Hotel at the Psi Games event, our brains and minds will be buzzing with lots of questions, and it'll be just great to be able to talk to people who are actually really authoritative in that area in a very rigorous and scientific academic kind of way. So that's basically the whole picture of the trip. I've done some research into costing. On Skyscanner, you can see here, depending on your choices and so forth, you can get return flights at the moment from about 2,200 to 2,700. Obviously, there's more expensive options as well, but it is possible. Okay, and next, so accommodation that will be taking place over 5 nights from the 31st of July to the 5th of August. Now, bear in mind, the shared costs will be different depending on whether you are two travelers together or just one. Of course, it's always a possibility to team up with somebody and share accommodation with them as well. But a quick search of what if showed that in the Charlottesville area, and just by the way, Charlottesville is quite a small town. I was looking to make sure that accommodation within Charlottesville was within 10 minutes drive of the venue. Obviously, you need to find your own criteria, but basically the Omni Hotel is in the middle of the city, right close to the CBD area, I suppose you might call it. But basically, the whole town is encompassed by a radius that is within a 10-minute drive or maximum 15-minute drive of the Omni Hotel. So pretty easy. Anywhere you get in Charlottesville is going to be fine. As you can see here, two travelers, $666 for 5 nights. That was one of the cheapest that I could find. There are other options, of course, and other websites you can check on. But that would be 133 Australian dollars per night. Obviously split between two people is like 65, whatever it is, dollars, 60, $70 and so forth. So accommodation would be from around 670, probably up to $1,000, depending on how much you want to spend for the 5 nights in Charlottesville. And of course, you can always spend more time, less time there. Fully up to you. Just while I'm on the subject, the intention is not that I would be booking accommodation for everybody or anything like that. It's not that kind of a thing, nor the flights or anything like that. I'm just showing you options. Everyone will be responsible for doing their own bookings in that regard. But what I will be doing is making sure that we can, coordinate together and meet together for breakfasts and lunches and dinners and so forth, and make plans together and, go on tours together and so forth. So, we'll basically be in our own little bubble and enjoying the whole journey together. So that should be a fun experience. So accommodation, and then we go to the next one. So meals, I've had a look at the cost. Generally speaking, you're looking at meals that will be 10 to 20 US, 30 to 50 US, depending on the sorts of places you go. But there's plenty of decent, reasonably priced food options available in the area. You can always spend more or less on that. But I've calculated for the 4 or 5 days that you'll be there, you'll be spending $250, $300 through to $450, $500, depending on your appetite and so forth. So that's the meals component. And then, of course, you need the tickets to go to the event itself. The general admission is pretty basic. I'd recommend, since we're flying all the way over there, at least get the silver package. There are other options available, but check those out. I've converted these two figures into US dollars as it currently stands, 240 to 590. And so, definitely worth checking out what all of those options are, but I'd suggest that at least minimum for us would be getting the silver package. And then, so the totals, they basically look like this: flights to 2,200 to 2,700, accommodation 670 to 990. That's a single person's price. If you're sharing accommodation with somebody, you can halve that for yourself. Meals 250 to 450 for the whole time. Tickets 245 to 600 or thereabouts. And so that gives you a total of just over $3,300 up to about $4,700. So allow a maximum of about $5,000 and be able to have this trip covered and have the whole experience together as a group. So that's basically the main points I wanted to cover here, just to give you a bit of an overview. And I hope that that makes a lot of sense. Feel free to follow the link, have a look at all the details online, take your time to look at it. But yeah, please do let me know. RSVP, send me your details. You can get into the WhatsApp group And there's a lot of information sharing going on already by those who have already expressed interest to go. We have a number of people who have already committed to go. We're really looking for getting at least 10 people really committed to go. But we may end up going with a smaller group, or it could turn out to be a much larger group as well. So it's all in discussion. So if the idea of this excites you and you think that this could be a possibility, jump on board, let us know, and we'll all team up and head over there in August. Thank you very much, and yeah, let me know how you go. All right.